Hi everyone, and you're very welcome to the RTE Soccer Podcast 2026. Of course, I'm sitting in for Raf this week, but it makes a welcome change because I get to ask the hard questions rather than being on the receiving end of them. Of course, we're going to focus heavily on the domestic league and the return of the domestic league, which is great news for us all. Football is back, real football, football with soul, not like the rubbish that we watch in England, ruined by technology and money. Full of joy, and that's what we're looking forward to. And hopefully two lads who are going to bring plenty of joy for the next hour to me and to you listening is Richie, Towell and Graham Gartland. Morning lads.
Thanks for having us out.
Morning Al, best of luck hosting.
Thanks a million, Graham. I hope you're all kind to me, but the tough questions will be coming for you too.
Are you going to answer your own questions or are you going to let us have a go?
Let's see how we go. But it was a big weekend, obviously, with the return of the President's Cup, which we'll come to in a couple of moments as we focus on the big return on Friday night. But the biggest thing over the weekend was Richie Towell's missus' birthday. So I think we'll have to give her a happy birthday on the podcast.
She'd be buzzing with that.
I did. Gushing with praise he was on Instagram as he normally does.
A few brownie points there.
Absolutely, Richie. Well done.
I need to hook up on the gram.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Towell, if you're listening.
We're not friends on Instagram, so I need to.
That's brilliant.
But boys, obviously it's the return to the league, so we're absolutely buzzing with that. But I'm getting a sense, I was up at the match on Saturday, the President's Cup, which is the curtain raiser. Am I wrong in thinking there's not as much hype maybe this year as there was last year?
The Duff factor last year was probably a big one, and then obviously Rovers trying to retain their go back and win the league. There was a lot of hype around the league last year. I think it was with the likes of all the TV companies and obviously other companies coming in and doing games every week. It was a big push. I think this year it's probably been a little bit more subtle. But I think once it gets going, I think the fans who are going to the games every week and the clubs will really get behind it again. I think it'll be a real title challenge this year. That's the bit that I feel will be the difference. I think Derry will push Rovers. I think Shells will push Rovers. And I think it's going to make for a really interesting league. Probably going back to when Shells won it, where it was a proper tight race up to the final day. I think you could see something like that again, Al. And I think the league needs it as well. Rovers' 5 leagues in the last 6 years have been unbelievably good, but I think when they get pushed and the league gets down to the final games, I think there's a real drive in that, this is going to be competitive. And I think that competition brings people out and brings interest as well. So I look forward to that. I look forward to seeing a real title challenge from them 3 teams. So I think the league will gather momentum rather than the big push at the start. I think it'll gain momentum as it gets going.
It's a good place to start, Richie. And for those listening, obviously we're going to try and break it down into 3 thirds with our contenders, our European hopefuls, and maybe who we think might be down fighting relegation, which they might not want to hear. But no one better placed than you, Richie, to talk about Shamrock Rovers and obviously getting their crown back last year. 5 titles out of the last 6 years. How hard is it to keep that hunger going? Or do you think, from your experience of working with Stephen Bradley, the group of players that are there, that'll be no problem to them?
I don't think it'll be any problem, Alan. As Shamrock Rovers, it comes from within. They never need external motivation. I think you see a lot of clubs, and you even see when Damien Duff was the manager, they were always looking for external noise to motivate the players, where at Rovers it always comes from within. They have the likes of Roberto Lopez, your Graham Burks, your Rory Gaffney's, seasoned players in the league who've been there and done it, and they don't need any motivation from anywhere else. They know what they have to do. Like, their pre-season's always the same. When I was at Rovers, our pre-season was always the same. We done the same running, played the same teams in the build-up to the league, and everything just kind of ticked along nice and smoothly. And you can see it again this year. It's kind of been the same process for them. They played against Derry the other day, and they put out a really weakened team. They did. In my opinion, they had a lot of their big hitters that were missing out. But I think, as Graham said, you'll see them. They're not really known for a fast start, but when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, that's when Rovers kick into gear.
There's a lot of focus, Graham, I suppose, in recent seasons about them being very dominant. But if you look at their points tally last year, it was the lowest out of all the league wins that they've had, 66 points. And then the European stuff wasn't obviously what they would have expected or maybe what they would have wanted. I know they won the cup and it was a successful season. I'm not saying it wasn't. But just in terms of maybe, are they coming back to the pack a little bit? Would that be a concern?
Good question. I think the fact that they probably had the league sewn up and then they just couldn't get over the line affected the points tally. And then the European, I think they should have be Breidablik. I think that's they'd be disappointed that they didn't go over there and put in a performance. If you've 2 games that could basically get you out of the group in the phase that they have, I think they'd be disappointed with them 2 performances. But when you in the cold light of day, they've won a double and they've been really successful for the last, like you said, 5 out of 6 seasons. I don't think it's a coming back to the pack. I think it's a case that the others need to get going. Like I always feel, and I said this to you, it's not for Rovers to dip, it's for other lads to try and other teams to try and catch them. And I don't feel anyone has done that other than obviously Shells. And the bit that I go back to constantly is winning games you're expected to win. Like, and that was what hurt Derry in the run up a couple of seasons ago. They were going out, there was games where they could put pressure on Rovers and they just didn't win. They were going away to Sligo and losing, and you're like, you have to win them games if you're going to challenge. So I do think the other teams are gradually catching up. I don't think Rovers have the monopoly on certain bringing in players, for example. So I think Shells have got stronger, and I think Derry have got stronger from last year. So I think it's going to go between them 3.
I think financially, Rovers are always so far ahead of everyone else, weren't they? But you see now, like as Graham said, Derry have the money to go out and get players, and they have done. They've gone out and got who they've wanted to get. Shells obviously have the European financial gain that they had from having the good run and getting to the group stages. So I don't think it's the fact that Rovers are slipping down a little bit. I think the other boys are just catching up more so financially, which then they can go out and strengthen their squad, and that's when you're going to get a real title.
And infrastructure, Derry have a better training ground. The training, Shells are building up the AUL. Pats are getting better training facilities. So the attraction when Richie was coming back from the UK was, well, I want to go to Rovers. They've the best training facilities. Where now they're like, oh no. Then it comes down to finances where, well, I'm getting offered the same, but the training facilities are the same. Well, I'm going to go there. Yeah. Like you have an option now where I think 5 years ago it was like, I'm coming home, but I only want to go to Rovers because training facilities wise, that's where I'm going to stay at the level I want to stay at. That's massive for players. Like,
just on, I suppose, that kind of recruitment structure, if you like, or being able to bring in the best players. They brought in young Adam Brennan from UCD, Jake Mulroney, Enda Stevens. I know they have a brilliant squad there already. Do you think that's just topped up nicely, or do you think you'll see them do more business? Because looking at them,
I think they'll want to do more business. Obviously, I think
what areas would you be looking to maybe on top of what's come in?
I think they need to sign a centre half because they're going to be missing Roberto Lopez for a chunk of the season as well, aren't they, when he goes to the World Cup? So I think that's something that they'll need to get.
There's a line you never thought you'd hear, would you? Like,
it's amazing, isn't it?
Fantastic.
He's going to lose somebody to go to a World Cup.
Yeah, but I always find that even when I was playing for Rovers, when he was missing out of the team, we really struggled. We did, and it's mad because he wouldn't be the player that goes out and grabs the limelight and scores goals and creates things, but he's your steady Eddie, he's your captain, he's your leader. And if he's going to be missing for a large chunk of the season, they really need to have someone. Now, they have Dan Cleary, they have Lee Grace, lads who have been there and done it. Just
talking maybe Enda Stevens playing as a left-sided centre half.
Enda's greatly experienced as well. He had a super career in England, played for Ireland, the whole lot. So he could be one that steps into that, but that will be a big miss for them no matter what.
Vocally, see, you go to games and you stand on the side of the pitch, you can hear Pico constantly, especially when they're attacking. Hey, make sure the midfielder's in the right area, and he stops counter-attacks before they actually happen. And when you're, as a centre-back, I'm looking in, I love that stuff because it goes unnoticed.
Because you were a bit mouthy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's not even that. It's the day-to-day. It's the day-to-day.
You never shut up. I know, you used to be annoyed at me.
I'll tell you what, you could have done with me, I might help you run back a little bit. Hey, stay there, Al, stop moving. Stop running and wandering off. Just stay there for and then what
it does matter, doesn't it?
It does, and then when the ball comes out, then you take it down and start the attack, and nobody notices it. And it's him that's the one that's putting people in place. And it's such a brilliant trait to have, and I agree with Richie. I think when he comes out of it, that level of information goes when he's not there. But what an excuse, what a reason. Look, I'm sorry, I won't be missing. I'll be
going to World Cup stuff as well. But he's going to be missing the day to day, and he's the one who sets the standard, sets the culture at the training ground. If he's missing for a couple of weeks, will lads come in and slacken off a little bit because Pico's not there and such and such isn't there and the standards slip a little bit. Now obviously
that's where you need to give centre backs a little bit more credit than you do.
No, I do.
Because they do, like, and that's the thing, it's that driving that culture is massive because it keeps everybody right. And you're like, stop moaning at me. You're like, well, I have to. That's my job, like, is to make sure you're doing that. And he's just like,
the bad players just moan and shout, don't they?
Exactly.
Can I just so if it was a thing that they do slacken off for those kind of reasons, or if there's any other reasons, are Derry best placed to be the ones pushing them, or Shelbourne?
I think Derry.
Yeah,
I think Derry. I think just because with the signings they've made some really good signs in the attacking part of the thing, and they already had the likes of Michael Duffy and lads who could really bring that to the games already. But then they've signed experience, James McLean and his brother as well. I thought his brother done brilliant when he went in at Sligo. He was that real experience, the leader, like a bit of grit, a bit of determination, and to have both of them added to that squad, I think it's going to really, really stand to them.
I was up there, Graham, on Saturday night in Towell at the President's Cup, and to be fair, there was a real noticeable difference in Derry City from what we seen last year. Obviously, with the signings, and you expect to brought in quality, but just none more so and none bigger than James McLean, and he's going to be a real kind of talking point throughout the season. He already is, even after one game. But it's great for the league as well, similar to maybe what we seen with Duff, someone of that stature. But what exactly is he bringing? Because the one thing that stood out to me on Saturday night was he was playing centre midfield. Never expected it.
Yeah, and he ran the game. And
did quite well.
And he was in the ref's ear, and he's constantly pushing and telling players where to go and moving them around. And we talked about Lopez's influence. His experience and influence will, I think, when games get tight, he'll pull these players in and, like, you know, just stay tight for 10 minutes until we get something in the game. And then, like, he drives them, he pushes them, he's going to demand a lot of them. Do
you think that's something that's needed in Derry?
I do.
I think it was missed.
Yeah,
I think it was really missed up there.
Yeah,
I don't know what their culture was like up there, but anytime I played against them, I never felt like these are going to be dogs here and they're going to be honest. I always thought it was quite an easy game.
And were they vocal on the pitch?
They had Mark Connolly. He was their real leader. He's gone, obviously, so it was really, really important that they replaced him. He was their real leader at the back. He was very, very vocal. He was, but.
Well, a good example, even in a stat for me, Richie, with that, they finished second now 3 times out of the last 4 seasons. But I never felt they were proper in the race.
No,
they were always just catching up at the end, I always felt.
Whereas this year, they'll need to be in the race.
Absolutely. Turning in to be under pressure now.
But putting down markers when you're, like, we're going to win a game, like, we have to go, we have a chance to go level with Rovers if we win this game. It might be and they don't win. They're the bits that I'm like, no, they're the ones you have to win. And mentally, and that changes in your dressing room where you're like, no, we're winning games, we're expected to win, and it's putting us in, if they can match that expectation of us looking in going, you need to win them games, I think they have a chance. Like, Markey and Clark are good signings because they've been really good in the league. They know the league. They're not bringing people that don't know the league. Ola Inca from Waterford had an okay season. I think he'd be a good squad player that can come in. Obviously, they lost Diallo to Bowes, so I think it's a ready-made replacement. So, but you're right. I think at the top end, Josh Thomas is going to.
He was very good at Saturday night.
I think he'll stretch the game for them, and that allows Clark and Markey to find them little spaces because he'll deepen a back 4 for you, and then they can come in off the line, or if Clark's in the 10, find that little bit of space. So I think they're looking good, but
Clark's
defensively,
a big signing for them, isn't he?
Yeah, I think defensively you're right. They brought in experienced centre backs who know the league as well.
Okay, I'll give you your chance to talk about the centre backs. Okay, Rob Slevin, who did very well, I felt, Graham, Patrick McLean, but my little worry with that, and none better place to talk about,
as a lefty,
2 left-sided centre halves. Is that a problem?
It is to a certain extent in that it's never an issue with 2 righties. It's funny that
it's almost like the optics of it, really.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And people look in and go, that looks. It
looks awkward rather than 2 right footers. Yeah.
And as somebody who was a left-sided centre back, and I sometimes had to play right-sided centre back. I think cup final in 2005, I played there beside Stephen Gray, and I went to the right because I was a little bit better than Gray's on my right foot, which wasn't a lot. A couple of swingers, but it was. The bit that I found, the pros to it, where when you're receiving back from throw-ins or it's coming back from your right back passing back to you, you can open out and step into the game, and you can pick passes. The bits that caught me out were balls into the channel over my right hand side, or bouncing balls where you take an extra half step to set yourself. And I got nicked a couple of times where I'm waiting on that, and then a toe will come out, nick it, and then I'm chasing. So there is pros to it, but I think if it was two righties, it's all right. But with two lefties, people look and go, that's a bit strange. That might be a problem. I think they're experienced enough for it not to be. But it might catch them out in terms of them channel balls. That would be my issue.
The other one who I feel, and we all feel really, I suppose, who are going to be the ones challenging Shelbourne.
Absolutely.
And I think Joey O'Brien did a brilliant job after he came in from Damien Duff last year. Just in terms of their recruitment as well, one notable one coming in from the Irish League, Oran Casey. A lot of talk about him, Richie. Do you think there's enough? Because in fairness to them, similar to what you were saying earlier, there is a strong squad there as it is. So it's not like they've had to bring in loads of players. Lost a couple. But I think Casey... Freitas, a bit of an unknown, but is there enough there, do you think, or from what you've seen since Joey has come in, that they'll mount the challenge a bit?
Yeah, I think they will, and I think really important with Joey having his first proper transfer window, having his first proper pre-season as well, just him doing his own thing. Obviously, he was shadowing Damien when he was doing pre-season last year and that. So he's after getting the recruitment he wants. Shelbourne have heavily invested as well, 6 figures for the likes of Casey, Northern Ireland under 21 international. So I'm sure they have big hopes for him. I think the key thing, we spoke about it off air, didn't we, about Paddy Barrett staying fit. I think if Paddy stays fit and builds a good relationship with Casey, I think that could be the foundation for him, because Mbeng has done really well at wing back.
Norris is signed permanently as well.
That's a great sign. Anytime I watch him, I love how tenacious he is. He's up and down. He's a proper, really good footballer. And then look, their midfield speaks for itself, doesn't it? I think they probably had the best midfield last year.
I'd agree.
I loved everything. Anytime I watched them play, I thought they dominated games. They had a bit of bite about them. They had control in the game. They had lads who could bomb forward, bit of creativity. So I was really impressed with them. And then, as you said, the unknowns. That's for me. That's always the big thing. Dundalk done it a couple of years ago, didn't they? Where they went out and signed lads on massive money that were unknowns, and they failed miserably. Really backfired on them.
It's a tough league to come into, isn't it?
Really
We all
tough.
know.
People think that's going to be, even when I came back here, people were like, a handy one for you. I was thinking, you haven't played in the league. Like it's not. It's
always the ones who have never played in the league.
Say that. Yeah, of course. Yeah. When you're going, especially if you're playing for a Shamrock Rovers, a bigger club, a bigger so-called club in the league, if you're going away to a Drogheda or you're going away to a Dundalk, you know what you're in for. You're going to get lumps kicked out. The fan, it's a big game for the opposition fans on the day. So look, I think Shells they'll be there or thereabouts. It's just going to be very interesting to see how them unknown signings kick off in the league.
Getting the keeper as well, securing the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I thought he was good when he came in.
For you, Graham, just on them, because I'd agree with Richie. Defensively, they look sound. Also, midfield, I think, is as strong as there is around. Jack Henry France, I think, is going to be a big player. But just
Sean Moore as well in from West Ham.
In the forward areas, do you think there's enough there?
Need a goal scorer.
That's the bit. So the 3 strikers, Martin, Meebo Debeku and Sean Boyd, if they could
and
get...
the new lad Freitas,
However, if out of them 4 strikers, you can say, like, we guarantee 8 goals each, that would be enough out of 4. But
8 is crazy, isn't it? I was only thinking about the top goal scorer. Sorry to interrupt you, but what was it, 14 goals last year?
Park,
That's crazy.
So if you manage out of them 3 or 4, if they got, say, even 6 goals, you're putting them into like 24 goals between the front line. That's what you might have to do instead of having one who gets
out
40.
20.
Do you know what I mean? So John Martin will pop up with the odd goal, and he does well. Boyd will get the odd goal, but they need them to be getting, if, like you said, if they can get between 7 and 8. But if one of them goes, then they have a really good chance. So it's about probably the sum of the parts with the forward line rather than having one really top goal scorer like that. That's the way I think Shells might have to do it.
We are going to get predictions at the end of the show, so not right now, but we've delved deep into the 3 contenders, to be fair. And I would agree with Graham what he said there just about the title race. I think we're in for a brilliant title race with the 3 of them this year. But just on
it's not often you agree with me.
No, it's not all bad. No.
Is this the new percentage coming out? You're trying to be a little bit more nice.
No. So just on the European hopefuls, and there's a couple of obviously big clubs in here who you would expect to have better seasons than maybe what they had last year. Bohemians, St. Pat's. We've thrown Waterford and Galway into the mix as well. You can tell me if you want, if you think they should be down the bottom of the barrel. But we'll come to them. But just on Bohemians, Graham, again, a lot of kind of recruitment, not just in the off season, going back to last season as well. You can kind of say it's Alan Reynolds' team now. A lot of his signings. Can they go better than 4th, or do you still think it's just a European place that they're fighting for?
It's a big ask for them to go better than 4th because of what they're up against. I think that, but in order for them to build because eventually Bows need to challenge for the title. Like that's Bows are a massive club, and they need to get to that stage where they're challenging. So they need to start building momentum, and then you can see it build, and you go, right, next year they might challenge, or the year after. But in order to do that, you have to sort of build momentum in your league form, and again, try and win silverware, whether it's the FAI Cup. So they need to have a good season because it builds momentum to give them a chance. You were at Dundalk, you finished second to Pats. You were at Rovers, you finished second to Dundalk, but you knew something was coming. I went through with Drogheda when I was playing, where we were building towards something. That's what they need, that type of season.
Do you feel that's coming?
I do actually. You mentioned Shelbourne midfield. Dawson Devoy, I think, is an unbelievable player. And defensively, I think he's excellent. Where he doesn't make big tackles, but he gets across and covers the ground and nick balls off people. They signed Diallo that'll sit in beside him at times, and it might free them, either one of them up, that they can either pivot as like one can go, one can stay. Ross Tierney in there. So like, I think they've signed. I think they needed more defenders. They signed Dara Power. I think they needed a right back for a long time. They signed Ryan Burke from Waterford, who's a left back. I get annoyed when I look at teams and they put midfielders back into these positions, and then they switch off defensively, and I'm like, well, what do you expect? Like at the vital time, if a midfielder's playing in your back line, there's going to be a crack there at some stage, and they'll do really well on the ball and they'll look great, but defensively, thinking really defensively, they just switch off sometimes. And that's where I get annoyed when midfield, I can go back and play there, and you go, and I think that's where Sam Todd, they brought in, I think he had a better half of the season. I think his first half he struggled at Derry. I think he'll do okay.
Young Senna Mullen coming back on loan is a good one.
Hickey brings a presence to them as well.
But Hickey's a funny one as well, Graham.
They don't play like that, direct.
Because Hickey was brilliant, obviously, at Galway. But a lot of the pre-season games, and I've seen Bowes twice in pre-season, playing centre half.
Was he?
Yeah, Patrick Hickey.
And Harry Vaughan that he brought in as well would give them something. So Rooney, I think the fact that they've lost Clark and brought in Vaughan straight away, I think it's a really good sign that they've just gone and replaced him. So yeah, Senna Mullen coming back from Torino. I think they've signed another lad.
Do you think Hickey will play it? He played as a right-sided centre half, or do you think he play up top? Because I thought he was really effective for Galway.
But Bowes want to play through the towards, don't they? Like where Galway, you knew
it was just direct.
Every goal kick, everything just went straight directly up to him.
They pushed him right up as a striker.
And they played off him. Then they did, and I really can't see Alan Reynolds, Stevie O'Donnell wanting his teams to play like that.
No, they'll still want to play it, but it was just a surprise to see him playing in that position, because I would have thought off the season he had at Galway, he was signed as a centre forward. Now to have Douglas James Taylor,
I think Douglas James Taylor will play.
It's a big season for him. I think it's a big one, because I think he probably didn't hit the ground running when he came in from Drogheda, and
he was good at Drogheda, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. But if you ask me about Hickey, I think profile wise he's probably better suited to centre back. Like, I know that's mad because he gets goals, but he'll still get them same goals from set pieces. But I think profile wise and the way he moves and everything about him, but you really need to make him switch on to where spotting danger. That's the big thing. I always back defenders, but it's that smelling that danger. It's something could go wrong here, and I'm going to just make sure I'm around, and it goes unnoticed. But if he can bring that to his game, I think he has a chance to be a good centre back. Obviously they're kicking off on Sunday in the Aviva, unbelievable fixture. Are you for that fixture in the Aviva at the opening day?
I watched them obviously against Rovers last year, and it was a great occasion. And you were talking about at the start about building momentum in the league. There's no better way to build momentum than getting.
I think there's over 15,000 tickets
a massive
sold.
crowd in the Aviva, and like that, you're gonna have young boys going to the game, and they're not going up to daily amount. Look, let's be realistic. Daily amount's a kip. Like, I wouldn't be one. No, it is. I know it is.
Can you say that?
No, it is. It's terrible. I wouldn't want to bring my kids to daily amount.
Well, it's been redeveloped. So
it should have been done 10 years ago. Like,
well, there's a lot of grounds now. To be fair, could be redeveloped.
Yeah, it's horrendous. Like, you see, like going up to the likes of Rovers and stuff like that. It's a great environment to bring the kids. Just loads of kids that go up on a weekly basis to watch them, but going to Dalymount's not the same. I want to bring my two little girls up to Dalymount to watch a game, but to go to the Aviva and watch them playing the big showcase game, that'll really do great things for the league. Like,
we mentioned the opposition there, St. Pat's. Raf caught up with Stephen Kenny just before at the preview launch, so just stick on your headphones there, lads. We just want to listen to Stephen Kenny, and then we'll talk St. Pat's.
In terms of the ins and outs and the size of the squad, is there actually a benefit to working with a smaller squad in a certain sense as a coach?
Ideally, yeah, but depending on injuries, I think it is. Ideally, it is. Yeah, you can really. We had 9 out as you say, with one player come back on loan to 10 out, and we've signed 4. But obviously 3 players didn't play last season that much in comparison in terms of our attacking players. Ramal Palmer, Zach Albacete, obviously who had a shoulder operation, and Aidan Keena. So they're really good attacking players, and hopefully we have them this season for periods and long periods. And I have faith in all 3.
Yeah, in terms of Max Mata, he's been in the league before, did very, very well. Do you look at him as a sure bet, and also because that love of wingers you have, that he's actually very well suited to how you will want to play?
Yeah, listen, there's no such thing as a sure bet. I think we've only signed 4 players, but one of the things, going back to the previous season, where we were such a technical team, a lot of diminutive, skillful players who could dribble and pass, but over the season we felt, physicality and athletically in difficult games that we were found a little bit, but we fell short. We found wanting, so I think we had to address that. And
Okay, boys, that's Stephen Kenny's thoughts. And Richie, you know better than anyone from playing under Stephen Kenny, because the couple of years, well, there was a few years of success, but one of the main ones was when it was a really small squad, and that was the decision that he made to maybe go quality over quantity. Is that a gamble?
It's a massive gamble, yeah, especially if you see the profile of the Pats players. Quite a lot of them are injury prone.
Yeah.
I think you even see in pre-season, I think Stephen said it just there, they have quite a few injuries already, they do. So some of them I know are quite long term, so that'll be a really big worry. For us at Dundalk, we were all 21, 22, 23 years of age, so we had a really young squad. We were
hungry to prove people wrong.
Extremely fit, extremely hungry, and extremely determined we were. And it worked out really well for us. You see some teams, and they go with that smaller squad, and they're really found wanting then come the middle part and end of the season. So look, it's a really big gamble. Stephen has obviously been there and he's done it before with a smaller squad. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out.
Graham, just on Stephen Kenny, when you think of the fanfare of him, obviously going in with St. Pat's, huge money. We all heard about the contract, long-term contract, big money.
Ireland manager.
And the disappointment the last season, and it was, let's be honest, it was a major disappointment off the back of them finishing really strongly the previous year, because people were tipping them to win the league last year.
That's right.
So are they under pressure?
Did you tip them?
No, never. Before a ball is even kicked, is he under a bit of pressure?
I think.
I don't mean pressure as his job, but you know what I mean. But
I think,
do well,
I think they have to perform. I think their performances were poor at times last season. We done a lot of their games, and I just thought, again, they lacked physicality, they lacked power, they lacked that aggression in them at times. A lot of dribblers that played individually rather than Cian Levy, Brandon Kavanagh, Jake Mulroney, Zach. There was no combination play up the top end. There was real off the cuff stuff, and again, as a player who's in that, you struggle then to build a connection, because you're like, I don't know what he's going to do. I think Lennon was sometimes left isolated by himself, and you could play either side of him, and he struggled then. I think Boyce is a good sign of bringing him in as a right back. But like,
have they done enough business?
I don't know. I think
so.
Max Mata is a good sign, and I think they're hoping that Palmer comes back and gets but again, they can't keep Keane fit. I think Palmer will come back and add to them, but can they keep him fit? What games do you get out of Forrester at his age as well? So I don't know. Darren Nugent, obviously, as part of the Jake Mulroney deal, might sit in beside Lennon and give him a hand and help him, similar to what Diallo will do with Austin Devoy, and you hope that brings that power and energy, and technically he probably won't start the game, but he's going to run and he's going to bring that physicality that Stephen just spoke about on air. But again, they need Mata to score goals. I don't think they got enough goals last year. I don't think.
Obviously, Mason has gone now as well.
That's
the big he was carrying the can, an 18-year-old kid.
Exactly, and then like Albacete, Mulroney, we were watching them constantly, and they get into great positions, but the deliveries would let them down, and the final ball they struggled with, and then they just became open, and they didn't have the physicality to get back goal side of the ball at times. So it's interesting to hear Stephen actually mention that, going, look, the profile needs to change.
Very honest,
he was actually, because he was like, we were
Well, I
run
think
over a
even
little
one stat that kind of backs up your point, and obviously Stephen's fully aware of it, and it speaks to that aggression and that lack of it really. Out of the away games, out of the 10 games they lost last year, 8 of them were away from home. So it's going to difficult places. That's when you need your players to stand up
bit.
in a bit.
Richie can come in, but the semi-final down in Cork where they just got ran over, you've
Very poor.
Exactly. Cork are relegated. They're already relegated. They have a chance to get to an FA Cup final and you lose that 3-0. That's the stuff that you're like, that can't happen when you're trying to build something. If you're trying to build towards being a title challenge, you have to go and win that and go to a showcase final and get used to big games. And in fairness to Pats, they have won FAI Cups previously, but it's like every time they win it, the following season they struggle, and you're like, just build momentum, and they just can't get that in their season. And when they do, Richmond's sold out every week. They've a massive fan or a really sort of loyal fan base that goes to the games. But like we're touching on it, like that physicality in midfield to be able to run up and down is massive. Like
that's why they've signed Nugent, Boyce, Matt. I don't know Edmondson, but the other 3 boys, they're very, very physically imposing players, aren't they? Like as you said, is Nugent going to sit in beside Lennon, or will they have Bagley there as one to start the game and then Nugent as that runner?
Maybe.
Even to start the press off. Like every time I played against Pats, I always felt like it was an easy game because they didn't have that press.
He's hammering everybody
But,
today.
isn't that such a bad reflection when a player says that of a team? You know, that was an because you spoke at the start about players coming back to the league and how difficult the league is, and we all are aware of that. And then you come out with a line where you felt it was easy playing against them
because you always knew they didn't have that player to start the press off. Look, when their players were on it, they were so hard to play against because technically they're all amazing there. They're really, really technical players. They have so much ability. But that's what they've been missing, that bit of grit and determination. Similar enough to Derry. And Derry have went out and signed Patrick McLean, James McLean, lads who have that in abundance. I don't see Pats have even gone out and signed that.
So do you think it was 5th last year? Do you think it's going to get any better this year?
I think it could get better, but they really, really need to have a good start. If there's one team in the league that needs to have a good start, it's them.
Yeah. They're a nice. It's the worst thing that you can say about a team is they're nice. They're a nice team.
And if they're a nice team, but if they start off and they win the first 3 or 4 games, that confidence will ooze out of them. And if you have confident players that have the ability, that's a recipe for something that's going to be great.
Okay, we're going to move on to this is very debatable, okay? Very debatable, right? So I'm not going to disrespect Sligo Rovers and Drogheda because obviously Drogheda finished 6th last year, Sligo Rovers finished 7th. So we're not going to put Waterford and Galway into the European hopefuls because Waterford were 9th and Galway were 8th. So we're going to put the 4 of them in, a bit of a mix, if you like. And we'll start with Waterford. But you can tell me, Graham, in terms of, I suppose, where you think they've brought a lot of players in. You look at the amount of players. I think some good signings: Noonan, Conor Carty, Luke Heaney, John Mann. Again, players that know the league.
Evan McLaughlin, Couto from
the
Cork.
lads from Cork,
15,
good lads.
15 new signings.
Yeah, a lot of new signings. New manager, John Daly, obviously, who again was successful with Pats when here with the won the cup, knows the league as well. He was working with Galway last year. So in terms of the 9th place finish, I think it'll be a little bit better for them this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like, in fairness to John, he's quite relaxed as a coach. He gives good information. He doesn't get too excited. He doesn't go too up or too down about things. I think securing Conan Noonan is a big signing for them because he was excellent on loan with them last year. Conor Carty's gone in from Pats. Luke Heaney from Drogheda, who I think will bring energy and aggression in their midfield. Like you said, John Matten at the back will definitely bring aggression. Couto was one of...
I hope it doesn't bring too much.
Yeah,
John can be a bit kind of reckless at times. But I think it's a good move for John as well because it might be a refresh, reset for him.
Great facilities down there as well, haven't they?
Yeah, they train
it's a
in
good
the campus.
it's a good environment down there. The pitch is always great down there. John knows the league, so they have the top scorer in the league. With the signings they've made, the manager that's come in, I'm sure the board behind the scenes there are thinking, right, we should be well able to push up the league here. Like,
so are you thinking that for them?
Yeah, absolutely.
So are we putting them in the European hopefuls? Or
yeah, we'll put them in the European hopefuls.
Okay,
no,
fine.
I'm not. No,
no, you don't think so?
No, I think
mid-table.
Yeah, I think, and again, I think if they're as they can get away from that playoff spot as quick as they can, I think they'd be happy with that. Like, I think it's
because they started off really well last year, didn't they?
Yeah, and to be fair, it might be a case of John going in, new players, establish them in the league, and look to move
that's
on.
Exactly what I was thinking, Alan. Well done.
I'm here. There I am answering the questions and asking them.
You picked that up well.
I told you I did that. See, I'm a good pundit and presenter.
You picked up what I was laying down there, Al. Well done.
Okay, so Galway. You're not sure about Galway at all, are you, Graham?
No, I think
give us the reasons why.
I think they really struggled last year at the back end for obviously other reasons. I think the players that they've lost, like going out, like you said, Hickey, Slevin, Brendan Clark, Greg Cunningham retired.
Senior players as well.
Yeah, senior players that know the league. They've brought in a few lads that know the league as well, in terms of like Wolf and Aaron Bulger. Kazim came back from Pats, who was good for them originally. The other lads they brought in are going to be unknown. A couple of lads from, I think, America. And they done well with Moses Dyer, but when he left, they just lacked goals then.
And sometimes, to be fair to John, he can unearth a gem from outside.
Exactly,
The likes of Moses
He
Dyer.
does. If there's one manager that does love getting an unknown player, he looks for that. He does. And as we said, Moses Dyer done amazing. He did.
Best player in the league up until he left.
but by a mile he was, and then they just couldn't replace him. And they made 2 or 3 signs to try and replace him, and none of them did. So that's the thing, isn't it? If we spoke about Shells, like if them unknown players really hit the ground running, then it can be.
But like Hickey and
Big
Dyer
loss,
like the goal threat, like where's the goal threat now? Like, you know, and that's the bit that did he go back to being the pragmatic style that keeps them in the league, in terms of just being really tough to play against, not great on the eye, but you know what, it's effective. If they can, that might be the way they have to go again to keep them in the league. Like, that's
so would it be a worry for you, as in they're down fighting relegation?
I'd worry for them a little bit.
The only bonus he probably has is John Caulfield. He knows the league so well. His teams do be so well.
And it was a tough spell for them. Obviously, they lost Ollie towards the end. It was hard going.
Absolutely,
for them towards the end. Let's move it on, boys. So Sligo Rovers, I have concerns.
You always have concerns.
Well, I do, because once Elding went out of the building, I think it's a massive loss. And when you think of some of the others that have left, but he's the main one.
Malley is
Patrick
gone
McLean,
well.
you mentioned, who did quite well. Malley's gone, obviously permanent.
The team, really.
James McManus did really well.
One, I don't think Malley was a big loss to them, because he
had down tools before that.
That's the bit what I'm saying to you. It ability wise, but in terms of your attitude in the building, if you don't want to be
well,
there,
he didn't play for them last year, and John was right in doing that. But just in terms of Elding, a brilliant player, we loved watching him. Good luck to him with the signing. But just from a Sligo Rovers point of view, a week before the season, and when you think of what's come in, Mika Sin, Alex Nolan, an unknown Mai Traore.
Surely they would have been planning for that. Surely they knew he was going to go. And they were planning for him going to be gone. They were never going to replace him, really. But surely they were planning for it anyway, thinking, right, we need to get another strike. We need to get goals into the building, because he's most definitely going to be going.
They finished 7th last year. Does the loss of Elding, and not just pinning it all on him, but does the loss of him in particular?
Well, that's the goals.
Put them back down.
Yeah, it's
as in, it'd be a long season.
I done the game when they were 2-0 down to Cork, and they came back and won 3-2.
Yeah.
He played as a striker. He played up front, and he struggled to get into the game, and they moved them. They moved them off the front or off the right, I think. And he just drove them, and that was the bit. I was talking to the assistant manager at Hibs last week, and he rang me and I was like, look, I really liked that, and he became the best player. But he never overindulged as the best player. His decision making was top level. But you can't plan to replace somebody like that, because they're not all out there. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, you have to have a plan, but very hard when your best player goes to go, well, how do we replace him? You might need 2 players that will share the load. Like, so I think it's a great signing for Hibs. I think it's a great move from Hibs. A brilliant club. Richie played there. He was a right back there, little chubby right back when he played at Hibs.
Chubby, look at him.
Yeah, I know.
Couldn't imagine Richie chubby. Did he still have the dad's wax in the hair?
That'll never leave me that moment.
Every time I mention it, I always say he was a little chubby right back at Hibs on loan. But like, massive club. Like,
massive club.
People don't realise how big Hibs and Hearts are. Massive.
All you have to do is watch that Sunshine on Leaf video on
right,
YouTube.
take me back to Sligo, boys. Never mind Hibs. Are they struggling?
I think they are, yeah. But you know what? In fairness to John Russell, he plays a good brand of football with them. He tries to put young players in and give them a chance, and I think that brings an energy and enthusiasm.
He's
And
going to be
it's
used to
on
it as
that-
well. He's always lost his best players.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a good
Every
point,
year.
Richie. I was just going to say on that, because it's really tough on the likes of John Russell, because obviously you mentioned the financial clout the top three have now in terms of Europe and the backing that they have. Sligo Rovers still kind of community funded, if you like.
That's why the money for Elding is massive as
and
well.
that was one of the reasons they had to obviously take that, because you see some people giving out about the price tag, but it's good money for Sligo Rovers. But when you look at the likes of John Russell and the job that he did last year off the back of losing McGinty the previous year, Ellis Chapman, couple of key ones. Niall Moran went to Bowes, was good for them the previous year.
That's right, yeah.
Henry Francis
He was
as
the
well.
captain.
And here we go again this year. So just how difficult and how deflating is that maybe as a manager?
It's a constant rebuild, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Like, you're nearly constantly rebuilding. Like,
How long though can they sustain that,
That's
Richie?
the bit
Yeah,
that
that's-
eventually it takes its toll. It wears you down as a squad because you're constantly losing talent, and eventually that will have a knock-on effect to your results. And you're right, like it's not a case of like we've lost all of them in one season. It's a cumulative effect over 3 seasons. Then eventually it gets harder to get points in the league because other teams are adding. And they're constantly getting their players taking them from them. So yeah, I agree with you. It's another good point you made as a presenter there. That, like they are getting like over the course of seasons, they're losing their talent and their best players, and it's very hard to then replace that because they don't come along that often. Like Elding, unbelievable coming through the youth ranks there. Can they go and produce more of them? But it's hard. Like they don't come along like that every year. So, but they are building. They're building up the stadium. They're building up the facilities, and it becomes a more attractive place as well. But financially, they can't compete either.
So a long season.
Yeah.
Okay.
So long season.
Drogheda United finished 6th last year. Probably seems a bit harsh to put them down towards that.
Oh,
end
your
of the
mate won't be
table.
happy with you.
No, Kevin won't be happy. But he's had this.
He's done brilliant.
He's had
hasn't he?
this
He's
every year.
always
He's been tipped
overachieving.
to be relegated
I
every
think
year.
he loves it. I think I'd say
Do you think he thrives off that?
Ah, yeah, absolutely. I
Do you think he listens to Richie Towell?
Yeah, and thinks, see that, he doesn't have a clue he does.
Graham Gartland
Yeah,
said,
they don't have
Are great at Pats.
Yeah.
Well, let
Oh,
me-
easy to play against. Daily amounts of kip. What else have you got?
That's
let me
Jordan's
tell
never
you.
easy to play against.
Well, let me tell
Never.
you, I know he listens to all them clips and he keeps them on the phone and he says, I'm going to show them at the end of the season.
No, here I'm Kevin's biggest admirer. I think he's done an incredible job for the last couple of seasons. They were obviously part-time. As soon as they switched to full-time, they done absolutely brilliant. They're kind of another team that kind of lose their best players as well.
Yeah.
They did that, they're losing Dara Markey, that they're losing Josh Thomas, but he always recruits really well, he does. I always feel like Drogheda have a real togetherness, they do. They play as a proper team, they do. You can see the style of football that Kevin wants to get across. You can see how they play. Every single game is the exact same. So look, I think he's always overachieving, and I think he thrives on that. But like as we said, how can you keep losing your best players and keep pushing up? Do you know what I mean? It's not sustainable. It's not. So it's going to be interesting to see how Drogheda fare.
So
this
again,
year.
just keep your head above water for them.
I think the main aim for them at the start is to stay in the league. They started off like a house on fire last year. They were incredible last year. They'll be really, really relying on a good start this year, like that, for momentum and stuff like that. If they start losing the first couple of games, you never know. Heads can go down, and they don't have the squad there to galvanise them.
They were excellent last year.
Brilliant.
The European team
Yeah.
kicked
Yeah.
the momentum out of them.
Yeah.
You like you said, how
And
well
even
they
to keep
started.
that going
Even to keep
was
that
good, wasn't
going
it?
and get over that and that mental. When you go through that and we've earned Europe, we're on a high and we're looking forward to it, and then for that to get taken away, for them to reset after that, I think they deserve an awful lot of credit
Yeah, it's
for
brilliant.
that, because no other team has gone through that. I thought they were the style of play people give out. That's what they have to do.
On that, Graham, and
Graham,
this is a good one for you because you mentioned you lose Douglas James Taylor mid-season last year. You lose Markey, your probably most creative player. But they've managed to keep the foundation of a good back 4 or 5 what he plays. So Keeley stayed, Quinn has stayed, Bulger, who did really well for him, Connor Kane. Now Owen Lamb is injured, but he's after bringing in Agbaje, the lad that was at Sligo Rovers last year at right full. So how important, and he still is Luke Dennison, who was one of the goalkeepers of the season last year. So the foundation,
platform.
that's...
And then what happens is you nick a goal from whatever reason, but you know we're in a good place to keep a clean sheet, and that's how you build that sort of togetherness and being tough to play against off the back of what your backline gives you, and it's massive for them. They need goals. I think Josh Thomas was brilliant. He didn't play a lot. Obviously, he was injured got injured after a couple of games, and then Douglas James Taylor came back and he done well. They're going to need goals. I think Doyle in midfield, who's going to play him, whether he plays him beside Brennan I thought he was excellent. We done the quarter final,
very good.
And the second half when he came on, he changed the game for Drogheda. He got them playing, and I think he can do both. I think he can get round the pitch and make tackles, but I think on the ball he's actually really good. I thought they were really unlucky in that quarter final against Rovers.
Yeah, they were very good that night.
Yeah, they were very good that night. And then on any given day, they can beat anyone up in United Park.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Their home form very, very good. Out of the games that they won last year, they've won 8. So the home,
it's a hard place to go.
Out of the 12 games they won last year, 8 of them were at home.
Yeah.
So
and that
tells you how difficult it is.
That's a stadium that really needs to be redone. But as someone who played there, I loved the fact it was tight. I loved the fact that the crowd were on you and you could feel everything, and the emotion in the stadium was brilliant. But if we're ever going to move on as a league, them stadiums need to become obsolete, and we need to.
We'll have them conversations down the line. Don't worry, Graham. So just on, you wouldn't have concerns for them.
No, I wouldn't. No. Goals maybe in terms of have they got enough firepower to keep them in the league? That's the thing.
Okay, brilliant. So the exciting part now, right, where we put you on the spot. So the predictions for the season. We've gone through all the teams there. Sorry, Dundalk. We didn't even, because I had the other 9. So Dundalk.
I would have got slagged there if I had forgot them. Now I would have. So thanks.
I have all my list here.
Tell you, all the Pats fans are going to jump on this straight away.
I'm well used to that anyway.
Kieran Kilduff, Richie. Tell me about him.
Great manager.
Great manager.
Great teammate.
I thought you were going to tell me about him as a lad first, but great manager.
Yeah, I think he's done a great job. Look, they were in a lot of turmoil when he took over. They really were. Like, I think you even see in pre-season there was still a bit of turmoil going on. There was talk about him not signing back and stuff like that. They've obviously, the pitches is done. The floodlights are in the process of being changed.
The pitch had to be changed.
I couldn't believe it.
If you're going to slag Daleyman, slag off the pitch in Oriel Park.
Oh well, it was terrible. It was terrible. But
the stadium is awful as well. Like.
That's what I went away. So I had played there 2013, 14, 15. Went over to England for a couple of years. Came back. I don't even think they put a lick of paint on it.
No,
it was crazy. Like, do you know what I mean? So to see them now after getting the new pitch, the floodlights are in the process of nearly being completed.
You came back more polished than the stadium.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I came back with new teeth. They didn't even get a lick of paint. They didn't. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking, what's going on here? What's going on here?
That's a cracker.
But I was thinking, this is crazy, which it is, and like that, they were really investing heavily in players unknown, which is. They can't do that. You have to invest in the infrastructure. You have to invest in the academy, like what Rovers done. Because that's when you bring more players up, like Sligo selling Elding, and that's how you reinvest it then. So hopefully now with Kieran Kilduff in there, they have a little bit of structure behind them. He's a player that knows the league inside out. Done a really good job last year, so I'd be hopeful for them. Even though they probably will be one of the favourites to go down. It always is. The team that gets promoted is one of the favourites to go back down. But I think with Kieran in there and the lads he's signed, I think they'll be all right.
Graham, I don't know Kieran, but just from the interviews and listening to him, there seems to me there's an assurance about when he speaks.
Yeah.
He certainly knows what he's all about and what he's kind of trying to implement and what he's going to do. Obviously, he did win the league last year, but they were kind of expected it, but you still have to go and do it. So just in terms of the challenge coming up to the Premier Division, is he well equipped for that?
I think as a person, I think he's honest. I think he's a really nice guy. I played with him at Shamrock Rovers, and really good teammate. Always positive in fairness to him. And I think they're going to need that. My experience in football, I got promoted with a team, say St. Johnstone, and one of the things I learned from the assistant manager there and the manager who's at Hearts now was like, you're gonna get difficult results the weekend, but how quick you reset, and it's like, right, it's gone, like move on, because if you dwell on it, and Kieran, who won things a lot, when you're relegated, when you're a team that's just promoted, you need to just turn on to the next one straight away. And that was a massive.
There's going to be more bad days than good days.
Exactly, and I struggled that because I come from Drogheda, where if we didn't play well, Paul would still hold it to the next. Paul Dillon would still hold it. Exactly. Yeah. Do you remember that pass? And I was I'd still come in thinking, I need to act like I'm this really affected me, and it did. But then the manager was like, "What you?" It's gone. We're moving on. We're planning for the next week, and I think that's what needs to happen with teams that come up. You're gonna get good results, you're gonna get bad ones, but just move on as quick as you can. And I think Kieran Kilduff.
The jump is obviously very big from the first division, and there's no getting away from that as all the other teams are pushing on. Cork City only got 24 points last year. Can you see Dundalk putting up a better challenge in terms of being better than Cork and maintaining it?
I think Cork were really, really unlucky last year, losing Shawnee Maguire, losing
Keating,
Rudy Keating as well at the same time. So I think Tim Clancy kind of put all the eggs in one basket a little bit there by having the two boys up there thinking, you know what, we have real firepower there. The boys are 100%. They're known goal scorers. They're going to get us goals. If we keep it tight enough at the back, we'll do well. And obviously the two of them being out injured, it didn't materialise. So I think it'll be the opposite at Dundalk. I think they'll revert to main thing, keeping clean sheets, and then hopefully nicking a goal. They obviously have the creativity with the likes of Daryl Horgan and that there. So if he can still bring the level of performances that he has done over the last couple of years, I think they'll be all right.
Okay, as I said, I mentioned it there a couple of moments ago. Predictions, boys, the exciting part. So we're going to start with 4 predictions, put you on the spot. Obviously, title winners, relegation, top scorer, and signing of the season. So we'll start with signing of the season.
Ooh.
There's one for you. And I'm going to give mine as well, by the way, predictions.
Right. Signing of the season.
I think it's hard to look past James McLean just for the
everything he brings.
Yeah. He like, for someone like him, like he's been playing the championship this season and he was playing regularly enough, like, do you know what I mean? For him to come back, that's going to give the league a massive boost, even publicity wise. Obviously, he played centre midfield the other day and done really well. So I think for me, he's the big sign in the season. Most definitely.
Yeah, I think we'd all agree, would we, in signing, just in terms of the whole package.
You could have a young lad, the likes of Brennan, that's gone to Rovers. I know the lads are speaking really highly of him there. Yeah, you could have someone
Josh Thomas,
that lights it up, like the way Elding lit it up last year. Like he really lit it up. Nobody probably tipped him to light it up the way he did. You could have one of them, but I think for the whole package, I think McLean is the.
I don't think we're going to agree on the next 3, so let's just agree on that one. So we'll go with McLean signing of the season. Okay, so top goal scorer.
Hard to look past that Paul Jarmond again. Like considering what he's done.
I've looked past Park Hammond.
Exactly. Yeah. Considering what he's done in the last couple of seasons, like he's always going to score goals. The best thing about him, people talk about his ability. His availability.
Yeah, he's always
so durable.
Yeah, and he's a great fella. Like, and he constantly like puts himself in the positions to score goals. And it's mad.
And when you think, Graham, I suppose the new signings that have come in, a lot of young ones there, around him. You spoke with the culture with Lopez. That's so
Lonergan,
important.
Carty as well. That can help ease the workload for him up there as well. And Bourke, I think you have to put Brian Bourke in this because every year he just scores.
Well,
goals.
you can only pick one. You can't have 2 or 3
Duffy as well.
Yeah, he takes penalties. Like Duffy scores goals. Like, but I go with Paul Jarmond again.
I think Max Matta could be.
Yeah. He did very well at Sligo Rovers.
Yeah, he did.
He's trying to get back in with the Pats crew.
So Stephen Kenny doesn't really have to get out of use.
He's trying to get. I'll go with Max Matta.
But even to stay on the pass, like Keane started off really well last year, didn't he? Scored a lot.
Injured on pre-season.
And then, but that's the thing. So it's.
I don't think Keane. I had this where I done analysis for Pats. And there was times, and he scores unbelievable goals, by the way. Like his goal down in Galway, unbelievable. I just don't think he gets when there's crossing positions. I just don't think. I just don't think he gets in the box.
Goals.
Like the Paul Jarmond goals, where it doesn't show you. It just says goal. It doesn't say it was an overhead.
Like, I think if Michael Noonan stays in the league and plays every week, I think he could be the top scorer.
Will he stay in the league?
That's the thing. I don't know.
I think he will.
I hope he does, because obviously we've lost Mason, we've lost Elding. So all the talk last year was about the 3 unbelievable young players that we've had. 2 of them, it's always inevitable when they're that good, they're going to go. Yeah. But at least, hopefully, we might still have Michael for another year.
But if he stayed for a full season and played every game, he would be the top scorer.
Well, here's one for you, and I'm going to give an opinion on this one. So on Saturday night, McGovern played up front for Shamrock Rovers. Very poor, really, really poor. Gaffney's coming towards the tail end, a brilliant player as we know. Michael could lead the line in every game.
Absolutely. And if he's a natural goal scorer. No matter what age group he's played for Ireland, he's scored goals. Underage, always scored goals. Anytime he's played for Rovers, he's done really well and scored goals. I think if he gets consistency and playing every game. Now, the thing is, does Stephen want to put that much pressure on someone so young? I don't know. But that's probably why he has the likes of Rory Gaffney and McGovern there to share the load. But I think if he played every game, he would be the top scorer in the league.
Good pressure.
And I don't think he would be the way it's been the last couple of years, where it's been 14 goals that have won it. I think he could be the one that gets 20 goals.
You'd love to see that, wouldn't you? Proper
brilliant,
kind of old school kind of centre forward getting 20. We haven't seen that since Jason Byrne,
Crowey, like
I scored 29 just so.
Richie, sorry.
Don't mind them, Well, it's more recent,
That's fair enough, Richie.
That's what got me mouth. That's what got me teeth.
That's because you were so. That's because you were so polished.
Came from. I wasn't polished then. I am now.
Okay, so I'm going to go Josh Thomas, by the way, as the top scorer.
Good,
was really good the other day.
He was on my list.
He was very missed a couple of chances in Tala, but just he's electric, he's pace, and he's going to terrify defenders. A couple of great chances. Should have scored actually, but I'm going to throw him, and I think he's a really good signing for Derry City as well. Once he stays fit, because he did pick up a couple of niggly injuries at Drogheda. But I think he's going to be top scorer. Relegated.
You have to look at Dundalk. Like all the metrics point towards teams that come up generally go back down, and that's where it's not that I don't rate them or anything. I think Kieran Kilduff is an exceptional young manager. I think he'll do great, but all the metrics point towards teams that come up really struggle, and I think they will. Again, is a nice like the Astro, all that stuff that plays into. They need to have a really good home form, and if they can do that, they might give themselves a chance. But I think I'm looking at Dundalk here. I'm gonna get loads of stick, but I don't care.
Well, you have to pick one. Don't mind that.
I'm gonna go for Galway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they'll, with the lads that have departed,
Slevin, Clark. Some big ones. Hickey.
Yeah. Clark was brilliant for them last year.
Yeah, well, just a senior pro Clarky as well, you know.
The Hickey,
You haven't replaced Moses Dyer.
Cunningham.
It's hard to replace that.
Cunningham retired and Dyer, like they really struggled when Dyer left. If they continue that form on from last year, I think they could really struggle. I obviously can't say Dundalk because
you can.
I can't.
You can, Richie.
I've said Galway. I'm not
Richie,
going back on it.
If you're a real pundit, you say Dundalk.
And by the way, you got loads of stick after the Dundalk fans when you were playing with Rovers. So
actually Dundalk will throw them in the mix.
Well, here's one. We're actually all in agreement, so I'm going to go Dundalk as well. For those reasons, them coming up, I just think the gap is so big. The recruitment-wise, I know they've brought in a bit of experience with Cornwall, Keith Buckley, who'll add a little bit. Yeah. But just in terms of the quality that you need as well to be, as Graham says, you have more bad days than good days. Yeah. So you need a bit of quality to win you the odd match. Can't see it. I would be worried about Sligo Rovers. There's no getting away from that whatsoever for the reasons we outlined earlier with the players they've lost. It's hard for John Russell and particularly Elding, who I'm absolutely mad about. Yeah. Such a loss to them. I would be worried about them this year. I think it'd be a long season, but I would go for Dundalk as well. And now it brings us on to the silverware. Who's going to win the league?
Rovers.
You
were straight in there, Richie. Yeah. That's too quick.
No, it's not.
Come on, give us a
They've won 5 of the last 6. Like, it'd be disrespectful, I think, to overlook them again. Like,
well, I don't think it'd be disrespectful.
It would.
We're allowed to overlook them.
They still have the core group there. They still have the Lopez, the solid back 5. They still have Matt Healy,
overlooking them.
Matt Healy, Dylan Watts.
Who are you going with?
Shelbourne.
That's he played 1 year at Shells. That's what he's doing.
No, it's nothing to do with that. I just thought Joey O'Brien was absolutely brilliant when he came in last year. The only worry I have with Shelbourne, and we kind of touched on earlier, is just that centre forward position. Now, obviously, the lad that came in as an unknown. Was he going to play the 3 boys that are there? I don't think there's enough. That's my only. But their midfield is as strong as anything. Kerr McEnroy,
I agree with
Henry Francis, JJ, Harry Wood, brilliant. Now there's talk he might go. I hope he doesn't go. I think he's a brilliant player, Harry Wood, Ali Coote, and Joey's got the best out of them. There was creative ones since he's come in as well. I think
back line worries me a little bit.
The young lad Casey coming in.
Casey coming in.
If they don't have that goal
and if they can keep Paddy,
that's the only worry I have. But I'm going to go Shelbourne. There's my.
I think with what Rovers have done last year and the way they won it, and like it was over with like probably 4 games to go. I think to catch that up is a lot for other teams. I think I agree with Richie. I think the people overlook this a lot because Burke, Gaffney, Bourne, all these lads gets the headlines, but the back line, Lopez, Cleary, Grace, the recovery pace they have is what, and I've been saying over the last 4 years. That's what allows them to play high up the pitch. That's what allows them to suffocate teams. And you can't break on them because they just have too much power in the back line that eats them up. And if clubs...
They lost 8 matches last year.
I know, but...
It's a lot of games.
Yeah, but they're still in the league.
I know that, but I'm just saying in terms of where they were at, I don't think they're as good.
And they had the European run, they won the Cup.
But that's all a kind of a product of their success, Richie. You have to be able to deal with that.
No, I know.
You know?
And Jack Bourne coming back could be.
But
Yeah,
Jack, we should.
Jack could be-
And Jack was excellent. At the game the other night, he played. I thought Jack was finished at Shamrock
Yeah,
Rovers.
it's like a new signing. It is.
New signing, Jack.
Honestly,
yeah.
if Jack, because I thought Jack started the season last year really well. He looked really fit. He looked strong. When
New hairdo as well, a bit like you,
he
Richie,
looks
has the
great.
quiff.
Yeah. So
Same barber.
yeah, but anytime I watch
Has the
him
teeth
play,
as well, now
he
that we
does.
think
Yeah,
of
we
it.
went to the same place. We did. We went to the same place. That's
You're
it.
all-
I
you're
swear
all
to God.
polished.
2
I
for
swear
1.
to God.
Graham,
yeah.
what these
no.
young fellas,
Yeah,
they're all
2
polished.
for 1.
Graham has 2 teeth hanging out here.
Scar here, fucking broken nose here. Look,
But he could be massive for them this year. Like when him and Burke play together
I love Burke.
in a team, like when they have Healy and they have Watts as the 2 sitters and they have them 2 ahead.
they
That
get away
four-
with that in Europe. They get away with that in the league,
Yeah.
playing the 2 of them. They don't get away with that in Europe because you can't.
That's why I was surprised that Nugent, they let Nugent go
Yeah.
to
Because in Europe he done
Pats
well.
because in Europe he always played, and that's probably why Stephen signed him as well, because he's seeing what Dara brought for them in Europe, and that's exactly what Pats are missing.
They carry Bourke and Bourne in Europe at times, but they can't play both of them together. Or in the league, sorry, if they play both of them at home, they get away with it because
Because they dominate.
they dominate. In Europe, when they're not going to have as much of the ball, that's where I think Jack might be frustrated with, well, why am I playing in the European games? You're like, well, because off the ball, him and Bourke won't do the work that the other lads do, and they flatten the midfield and all that. But I
So
think,
you're going Shamrock Rovers, Graham?
I don't think you can. I don't
Okay.
think you can look past them.
Shamrock Rovers and Shelbourne. Okay. That's all, folks. I've really enjoyed that, lads.
Well done, Al.
It's been
Enjoyed
an absolute pleasure. I really enjoyed
That
that.
flew in, didn't it?
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun.
Hey,
Graham.
we're going to go get our teeth done.
So while me and Graham go and get our teeth done, Richie's off to get his hair sorted out as well. We want to wish everyone the best of luck for the season. Player, staff, we'll be critical as we normally are throughout the year. But it's been an absolute pleasure, lads. And tune in next week again, RTE Soccer Podcast. We'll be on every week for the rest of the season, covering all the games and Irish football with the big qualifier coming up as well. Thank you.